What's up, man?
Yo, what's up, man?
Chilling, man. I'm back on campus.
You're back on campus?
Yeah, you already know.
Wait, that was quick.
Man, I'm fine. It's
Uh,
not just what I used to doing, man. The money maker.
Dude, I'm looking to sell EU here. Let me see.
Yeah, I saw that support when I was support.
Yeah, because this should be the entry right here, but I don't like trading before. This was the entry, but I don't like trading before New York Open. So I'm looking for a 5 minute. 5 minute. If we go to EU, I need the 5 minute SR level, sell SR level to be generated here. But that ideally that was the entry and this kind of close. But anyway, let me start recording this thing. All right, good morning, guys. Today is Tuesday, August 15th. As usual, doing analysis for US 30, gold and EU. So right to begin the day, I always look at this for, so I have US 30, gold, EU, and the dollar on the daily time frame. So this is what gives me my bias for every day. So on the daily for US 30, gold, and EU for the last X amount of days, my bias has been a sell bias, because here you can see the last SAR region to be closed was a sell region for US 30. The last SAR for the daily to close was a sell on gold. So I've just been taking sells this whole time on gold, same thing as US 30. EU, same thing, right? The last SAR, this was actually formed yesterday, but you can see before yesterday, we had this one right here. But right now, right, we can move that one to the bottom here. So this just helps you to look for trades or to identify areas of entry, right? And also for the dollar, you can see the last SAR to be closed at on the daily was a bullish one, right? So bearish, 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 bullish. Then I come to the 4-hour time frame on all of this instruments. So for US 30, for example, yesterday, I did send, this was an entry. I sent it in Trade Ideas yesterday. So this was a sell entry. So what I do on every instrument, I come in and then start from the 4-hour and also the 1-hour. So for the 4-hour, so ideally what I'm looking for is double, triple, so anything that has at least 2 SARs. So since mostly I'm looking to sell, I'll just encompass them like in rectangles and highlight them with the relevant color. So you can see if I take this one here you can see on the 4-hour, we have a double SAR. And look at what just happened. This candle just closed below that SAR, 4-hour SAR. So we need this next 4-hour candle to close below that in order to continue for a sell. Now you can see these two regions right here, of course, right? Then we are on the 4-hour time frame and they don't have any double. But if we go on the 1-hour time frame, right here for US 30, you'll see the doubles that I was trading. So if I delete this, you'll see we have a double here. If I delete this, we have actually 1, 2, 3 right here. So this morning, actually, when this candle closed below, so it closed below 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 SARs. So here you can see what happened in this 1 hour. When this candle closed here, if you're looking to enter, right, you'd have wanted the next hourly candle to close below these regions that it closed below. Now, the next candle, it retested the most recent SAR that was created by this candle on the way down. So actually, this was one of the entries, sell entries, and I missed this one, right? Because it's a break and continuation, or break and retest. I don't want to be using the term retests anymore, because right, not every candle gives you a retest. You do your at least 30 pip stop, or ideally stop above the SAR you're trading. So for like this trade, right, 50 pip stop, again, you're aiming for a nice one is to 2 risk to reward, right? You take profit hits with like little to no drawdown. For somebody who was waiting for this triple SAR to be retested, right? Because the triple SAR has not been retested yet. So you could have been waiting somewhere around here, right? So the triple SAR has still not been retested. This entry was off of just this one, this double SAR. So the triple SAR that was broken to the upside still has not been retested. And you can see US 30 is coming back up. So for anybody who wants to trade the triple SAR, give me one quick second. Okay. Let's see, what is that? Trying to. Okay. Yeah. So the triple has still not been retested. So ideally, how you'd play this, and this is how, like yesterday when I was mentioning Judah swings. So a Judah swing, if you're expecting a candle, like for me right now on this 4 hour, I'm expecting this 4 hour candle to be bearish, right? I'm expecting this 4 hour candle to be bearish, to come down and close below this. So I'm expecting what if I'm expecting this candle to be bearish, and eventually let's say it turns out to be bearish, what's happening right now is manipulation, or can also be called a Judah swing. So that's why all the trades I sent yesterday, I was talking about that retracement back up to tap our positions in. So right now, what I would expect, but for me, I'm not going to trade those 3 SAR regions. I'm going to wait for this one right here, because if I'm trading that, you can see there's a position that already hit full TP for the hourly. So, right, I don't want to be chasing a trade that has already happened. Well, technically the 3 has not happened, but they took the sell from the double SAR. So I really don't want to be tapping into an area where another trade has already been tested and hit full TP. So for me, I'd rather wait for this. Now, how do you trade? If you guys watch the Judah swing, right? Video that I'd sent in the chat, you'd ideally be entering sells now. Keep in mind, this is the 4 hour time frame. We've already had a break and closure below the double SAR. But if we do expect this 4 hour candle to go and hit, or to close as bearish, we'd be looking to take the sells right now for US 30. But for you to do that, right, if you're trading that Judah swing, my recommendation is to go on the 5 minute, go on the 15 minute, and wait for a break and retest, or break and continuation of an SAR. So you can see, if we are looking for sells on the 5 minute, we haven't had any sell SAR yet. So right now, if you're trading that, unless you go maybe to the 1 minute where you probably are getting that entry. So this is what you're looking for right here. So you guys can see this sell SAR, the red one. So you had that 1 minute candle closing. You had the next candle also closing below. So ideally, if you're entering the Judah swing on the 1 minute, because the 5 minute there's no entry, this would have been your trade, and you again have at least a 30 pip stop. Or since this one you're trading before the candle closes, because this is a 4 hour candle, maybe just scale into small positions. But for me to be safe, I'll wait for this candle to close. Now, if this candle, I would ideally want this 4 hour candle. I would ideally want this 4 hour candle to close somewhere here. The reason for that is I want to enter on impulse, for me, I don't like waiting for retest because sometimes I just end up missing. So I want the 4-hour candle to close ideally an area that's so close to the SARs that I would be trading, such that it can allow me to have that tight stop loss, right? Like a 300 pip stop, or 600, 300, or 300 or 400 gives me like a trade like that. Now, when this trade gets so let's say the 4-hour closes here, this next 4-hour candle closes down here, then I would wait for the retracement, for this Judas swing to happen. So if this 4-hour candle comes and closes all the way far down here, yes, it is a valid trade to enter. Yes, it is a valid trade to enter, but for you to enter that trade, you would need a stop loss that can survive the retracement, that possible retracement all the way back there. And you can see that's like a 200 pip stop. So in the off chance, you just say, okay, instead of entering on impulse, as much as it's a valid trade, wait for the Judas swing to happen, or the retracement or the manipulation. And then when price gets to this region, when go down on the 5-minute and wait for a SAR to close and get retested in your direction. Now, the other way, as much as my bias for the US 30, gold, and EU is a bearish bias, right? You can see that gold and even US 30 has been, right, retracing, even EU has been coming back for buys. Now, which is why you see on my charts, on this charts, I have the green zones, right? So how I would trade these green zones is the same way as if I was trading the red zones. So I would just wait for either 2 candle closures above, or if the buy is below, a test and rejection below. But you can see, like right now for gold has exhausted all SAR sell zones on the hourly and on the 4-hour time frame. So if, like, for example, EU right here, EU is a good example of how I'll take a buy. So you can see right here, EU, we had this candle that attempted to close above this double SAR buy, but it did not close above the top one. And guess what the next candle did? The next candle closed below. So for example, let's say this current hourly candle on EU closes above this green zone, double SAR green zone. I would then wait for the next hourly candle to close above also, and then I would enter the trade. But since, right, it would be a valid trade, but since I would be counter trending my daily bias, so for me, these trades, when I'm trading with in the direction of my bias, I would be entering like a 0.5% risk. And keep in mind, these trades, we normally do a 1:2. So if you win a 0.5% trade, you're actually making 1%. But the trades that I'm countering the daily bias, I would be risking between 0.25 all the way to 0.5. And the ones I'm trading in the direction of bias, I'm risking 0.5 to 1%. So which means the reason I'm taking lower risk when countering the trend is because I know, the daily bias overrides ideally everything that's below that. But of course, even though the daily bias is bearish, it doesn't mean that every single hourly candle is going to go down. So you can catch like small retracements that are countering your daily bias, and then you can maximize on that. But for me, since I'm countering, I really don't want to risk the same amount as I'm risking in a trade when I'm trading in the direction of bias. So right now during the live session, I think the only trade we might, if it does come to that, we might get is this EU. So this EU again came back to break even. So of all the 3 trade ideas I sent yesterday, only the EU trade didn't hit full TP. So EU came down to at least to like 1:0.8 or something, retraced all the way back up. Today during news, dropped down heavily, reached that 1:1, break even was set. So, but this is still an area, right? Because you can see this is the double sell, and our bias, daily bias on EU is still a bearish bias. So let me know if you guys have any questions on that. I know I went over it in depth on Friday, but that's ideally how I trade or how I'm trading nowadays. And it's so much easier for you because all you're doing is that you're waiting for price to come to you in these zones. Right? All you're doing is identifying those zones. So you can, I don't recommend setting pending orders. I recommend just at the very least set an alert and then go down to, I think we have news. Or we just had news. Wait, what is news? Is it in at 10? Yeah, 10. Yeah. So this is, to me, this is so much easier. I mean, as much as we have everything else, we have the breakout scanner, we have the crosses indicator, right? To me, this is well, I guess it depends, right? But for me, since I'm looking to take fewer trades, like every single day, like every strategy I develop, I'm just looking to take fewer trades. But to me, this makes sense because I just wait for price to get, and you can see US 30 dropping, right? So unfortunately, we didn't get tapped into that triple SAR. I'm sorry, that's gold. We didn't get tapped into this triple SAR exactly, but it came down to the double. So if only it came back up there, but you can see US 30 even on the 5-minute, probably right now is when we are getting that. So even on the, yeah, so here's the 5-minute right here. We are getting that 5-minute closure below an SAR. So for any continuation for a sell, you would want the next 5-minute candle to also close below this sell SAR. So let me see if there's any position we can grab for that. So US 30 definitely coming back down, right? We expect, or I expect this to be a Judas swing, where this is where we should be entering trades, and we are basing all this off of the 4-hour double SAR. So let me see. So for us to take this trade, we would have to wait for the next 5-minute candle to close. So now is a good time to start thinking, right, of where your stop loss would be. So if I'm trading this, and let me just look at it from the 4-hour time frame. So let's assume I get an entry there at the very least, right? So remember, your stop loss should be at the very least 30 pips. So let's see how far the stop loss for 30 pips would be. Okay, so ideally here, I would want my stop loss above these two SARs, but I think to be safer, you see this single SAR on the 4-hour, this might be a better area to put your stop loss at. So for us to do that, and I don't want to go above a 50 pip stop loss for this trade. So I would want US 30 to retrace a bit further up. So this is the 5-minute candle we are looking at. In the next 5 minutes, where is this candle gonna close? So sure. Right, and as you start learning these SARs, you can start incorporating the other indicators we have. So whether it's like the zones indicator, whether it's the order blocks indicators, right? You can start incorporating those. But for me, the way I trade it nowadays, I don't trade the SAR with anything else. I just trade it by itself. And I just, right, I'm looking for price to respect those zones. All right. So this is right. And this is the important thing about waiting for that confirmation, because you don't want to wait on the first candle that breaks an SAR structure. You want to wait for 2 candles to confirm, and that way at least you have a nice probability for a trade to go in your direction. But anyway, that's in the next 3 minutes. All right, so nothing else. So for me here, the other thing I look at, when do I change my bias? Like for example, on the daily, and you don't have to use the daily. For me, I've just found the daily works better for me, because I get nice trades over like 7 or 5 days. You can do the 4-hour time frame, but you might need to change your bias every now and then. But right now, I know, like for example, on gold, we don't even have green SAR yet on the daily time frame. EU, we just created a green SAR at the top there. You can see the DXY, the US dollar, is still being supported right here. So it's coming off of an area of support. For this 5-minute candle, it will probably come before news. So that's the only issue with this trade. But let's see, it doesn't even look like it's gonna close below the red SAR. So So keep in mind, if it keeps going back up there, we still know that we have this triple zone on the hourly time frame that has yet to be retested, this one right here. So keep in mind of that during news as well. If price spikes all the way up here, depending on how volatile news is, if you see a rejection from here, that's when I would say maybe check the 1 minute, or if you want to enter on impulse, that would be a nice one. Because keep in mind this level right here, and it has 1, 2, 3 on the hourly, has not been retested yet. So if you see US 30 going up, target that zone as a zone of entry. If you see US 30 going down from where it is right now, this is what you're targeting right here. Yeah, but if if you identify those zones, you should be able to get like 1 trade a day, if not 2. And right, if you're risking 0.5%, that's like 1% or maybe 2%. Like if you have like 2 wins, if you have 2 losses and you're risking 0.5%, that's only being down 1%. So all right, let's see what's going to happen in the next 5 or so minutes. And looking at EU, so keep in mind EU as well, right? We have those double SARs, but for you to take any buy on EU, because on the 4-hour, we don't have anything. On the 4-hour, we don't have anything for a buy. So this right here, this buy is based off of the hourly. So for you to even think of taking a buy on EU, you would need in the next 5 minutes, this EU candle, this hourly candle to close above that zone above 1.09410. And then you'd need the next hourly candle to also close above that zone for you now to take any buys. And for me, I would recommend to take, if you do get a valid buy confirmation, I would recommend you to take that with a reduced risk than if you'd be trading in the direction of bias, because you can see here EU on the daily, like literally yesterday, it created a new sell. It closed below a sell zone on the daily. All right, so you can see here, right? No entry on US 30 for that sell, for that 5-minute SAR sell. So right now there's nothing to enter for US 30, and we do have news in 4 minutes. So that's why I love that, waiting for that confirmation. And now, right, for US 30, guess what I'll do? I'll just come back to my 1-hour or 4-hour chart and then wait for price to either come here to either come up here and I'll look for a sell on the 5-minute, or I wait until 1 p.m., which is when the current 4-hour candle closes, and then I look for an entry down here. So it's as simple as that, right? So you just wait for price to come to you, and then you just react when price gets there. Gold, I don't see myself trading gold any other time soon, because we've literally blown through a lot of things. But you can see what I love about gold here. We are creating, so currently we have a 1-hour buy SAR that has been created by this candle. So I would want to see possibly another double SAR. And the other thing I told you guys, so you guys, if you're here on Friday, you remember on Friday I mentioned, right? SAR stands for stop and reversal. When you see this zones being created, you can also use them to counter trade. So for example, right here, if you see this zone being created, you could have sold right here. And that's only for scalpers. I don't recommend this for people who swing trade like me or intraday trade. But these are nice zones to, and keep in mind, these zones happen during, in real time. So it's not like they happen after the fact. So this one, you just, and if I replay this, you can see it was created. That's by SAR right there. Was created in real time. So when the candle was somewhere above here, it created that zone right there. So when those zones appear, it's a opportunity for you to enter like quick scalps for the people who like or who prefer scalping. But for me, I just don't like trading. That way, I would rather wait for price to come to me. I want to see how the 10 o'clock news is going to play out, because that's what's going to determine whether we get a trade for US 30 or for EU. If we do not, then that will be it for the day. But for me, I am still, if anybody ever needs to, if you ever need to know what my bias is, this is what I'll always use, right? Or for, in the foreseeable future. So for me, I'm still, if you ask me, I'm still looking for sells on gold. I'm still looking for sells on EU, and I'm still looking for sells on US 30. And you can see for US 30, right? We just created a new daily SAR sell region. So if we close below that, then, right, the last two daily closures will be sells for US 30. And we also still, I don't know if Audrey, you still have this position running, but we have this sell based off of the reversal indicator on the daily time frame. But anyway, let's see how this news comes out. All right, so news is, let's see how it trends. So it doesn't seem like it's volatile. Yeah, not too much volatility on news. So, and you can still use trend lines, right, to look for, to assist with your bias. So right now on US 30, you can see currently where we are at, right? There's this trend line to the upside, this trend line to the downside. Currently, we are rejecting off of the bottom trend line. So in this instance, US 30, the hourly trend lines are actually lining up with the daily bias, same as gold, right? You can see gold, how it's ideally trying to come back below. So they've been saving it using this trend line to the downside. And this trend line, I drew it like from all the way up there. So gold, they've been saving it using this trend line. But you can see we are just creating lower highs and lower lows. So for me, I do expect gold to break down and come into this zone right here. And in this zone, this is possibly the zone where they'll push gold down maybe to 1860, 1880 area. And then we'll get that daily SAR that's going to be created on gold for a buy. And once we get a closure above a green SAR zone on the daily for gold, my bias, I'll just start looking for buys on gold like automatically. All right, I don't see any trade. The news really didn't do much. So for me on this US 30, let me see. For this US 30, I'll look at US 30 at 1 p.m. So which is like 3 hours from now, because that's the only time this 4-hour candle, that's when this 4-hour candle will close. And if US 30, the 4-hour candle closes below here, I will take that sell. Either if it closes so far down here, I'll wait for the retracement into this zone. But in short, my sell is going to be taken based off of this zone, but I would need this 4-hour candle to close. Gold, nothing. EU, look at what just happened with EU. They only closed above, actually, it's a triple SAR here. They only closed above one single SAR. So for you to even think of doing anything else with EU, this hourly candle would need to close above this double SAR, or in that instance, it would be above the triple SAR. And then you'd need the next hourly candle to close above to even think of taking buys. But you can see how they're pushing this down. So for you to get any buys on EU, you would need to wait 2 more hours. For you to take any sell. So sells are still valid, right? So wait for EU to come back down in this zone 1.0931, 1.09301. Go to the 5-minute time frame, and you can see on the 5-minute time frame, we've already formed that red SAR sell on the 5-minute. So you'd need 2 candle closures to form in order to enter the sell on that. If you want to wait on the 15-minute, probably a safer entry, but that's how you would trade EU. I don't think we'll get it during the live session because EU has to keep dropping for the next this is hourly, yeah, for the next 10 or so minutes. So, but just look out for those 2 trades. Hopefully if they do come out, I mean, I'm stepping off the charts right now, so I don't know if I'll get time to, especially the EU trade. But for the US 30 trade, I'll be back on the charts at 1 p.m. And if I do get that trade, I'll send it out to y'all. Any last questions from anyone? What's up, Desire?
What's up, bro?
Did you catch any trades today on DAX? I was looking at DAX yesterday. I mean, I'm normally, nowadays I like, I like enjoying my sleep. Let's see, German.
Yeah, that's what I trade a lot. Because as I'm in Paris, it's better for me in the morning. So, and it move like US 30.
Yeah. Tell me you've been taking sells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like yesterday I tried to take like a rapid scalp on 5 and 15 minutes just to take the retracement, but wasn't a good idea. I think the better is to always follow the trend.
Yeah, because right now, right, the last daily SAR to close was a daily, I'm sorry, it was a sell SAR. So you would be banking on sells right here. So this is another thing, right? So when I say the last daily closure, right? So keep in mind, the reason I like going to the 4-hour, oh God, look at US 30. See, okay, so I don't even, I don't want to enter this before 1 p.m. Let's see. Let me see how this 4-minute candle. So because we just got a 4-hour, I'm sorry, a 5-minute closure below that zone. And now this 5-minute candle is going below. This is the retracement or continuation candle. So let me see how this candle closes in 4 minutes. Yeah, so the reason why I come back to the 4-hour and 1-hour is for instances like this. So you see how on DAX during this day, yes, this daily closed below SAR, right? And here you'd be looking for sells. Your bias would be sells on the DAX. I think that's the one that's called the DAX, right? Desire?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're chasing the sells down here just on impulse, you can see how you could, right, how you can easily get burned. And keep in mind, right, these are daily candles. So this is the importance of just use that as a bias. Come right here, extend your lines. Is 3 minutes still over? So if this 5-minute candle closes that low, I'm not going to chase the sell. I'll wait for a pullback into, and the pullback will line up with this. So this is, I'll wait for this pullback on the 5-minute. Yeah. So here again on the DAX, the reason I go on the 5-minute is here after you got your daily bias for sell on, for example, that, and this is similar to what I would do with US 30 gold and whatnot, right? Unless I had like a double SAR rejection on the 4-hour or on the 1-hour, that's the only time I'll trade here. But let's assume somebody is just entering sells without looking for those right other high time frame entries. You can see before your bias changes for a buy, right? Look at this whole move right here. It's such a huge move. So this is why the best thing after you get your bias, come to the 4 hour, come to the 1 hour, identify those double SAR entries, whether it's buys or sells, or maybe both on the 4 hour and 1 hour entries, and wait for price to come to those zones. So like, for example, here, of course, I don't know what the chart was doing, or what the 4 hour and 1 hour were doing on DAX, like on Friday, 7th July, but it's possible, right? On this high right here, maybe right here, there was some double SARs on the 4 hour or 1 hour, right? But right, my concern for this, right, for you guys is once you get that daily, do not enter on impulse. Do what we are doing right now for US 30. Wait for price to come to those zones you've marked up, and then go ahead and find entries there. So for me to take this, so keep in mind, right, same idea on the daily, right? So the same way I said, if this was the daily, like the example I gave on DAX, this would be chasing a trade. So we want that nice retracement. So in this instance, if you're going to enter like this sell right here, the first place you'd need your stop loss is either above that SAR you're trading or above the previous high candle or whatnot. So this right here is a 100 pip stop. So for you to achieve a 1:2, like we trade, you would need a 200 pip TP, right? So are you willing to do that, or are you willing to hold that? So for me, especially for these SARs, I like having like a 30. So always have like at least a 30 pip stop. So for me, I like having 30 to 50, like for US 30. For FX pairs, I like having at most 30 pip stop. For US 30, I like having at most a 50 pip stop. And for gold, I like having at most a 50 pip stop. Actually, I like doing 30 on gold. 50, I haven't really gotten an entry to make me need a 50 pip stop. So for me on this trade, since this stop would need me to have like a 100 pip stop on gold, I'm not going to take as much. It is a valid sell, but I'm not going to take that. I'll just wait for this 4 hour closure, or I will wait for price to retrace up during this 4 hour time frame before this 4 hour candle closes, and I will look for another 5-minute candle up here. Because if you think about it, if US 30 comes back up, it will probably form a green SAR candle, right? And then it can use that green SAR candle to form, to keep going up. Now, if the 4 hour candle is to continue bearish, guess what it will do? It will form another red SAR candle. And at that point, hopefully there won't be a lot of volatility in the market. And then I can catch a nice sell with a, like a tight stop loss. So for right now, yes, this is a valid sell entry, but for me, based off of the distance between this and my entry point, it won't give me that nice 30 pip or 50 pip stop that I like. So just keep that in mind for you guys. Now, same thing, right? If this 4 hour candle closes below here, that's a valid entry, but right, I will wait for the Judas swing to come back and tap me in. So for me, this is where, either way, this is where my sell on US 30 will be. So whether it's on the 4 hour at 1 p.m. when this 4 hour candle closes, and there goes EU as well. So I know I mentioned EU. So this is okay. So we're getting an entry on EU here. So this is perfect, right? So EU is coming into a sell zone right here. This double SAR for the buy was rejected. So this is what we want to see, right? And this is the importance of always waiting for those candle closures, because if you got into a buy right here, you could have gotten screwed or trapped in buys right there. So for me to, let's see if we're gonna get this. So I know I mentioned like sells for EU before the session started. So if this 5-minute candle closes below this red SAR on the 5-minute, that would be a sell on EU. Again, you want to have at least a 30 pip stop. For FX pairs, you can get away with 20 pips. So since for me, I'd already gotten stopped out at break even for that previous EU trade. Oh, I think I did. Let me see. I think I did. I can't find that account, but I should have gotten stopped out on that one. So for this trade, let's see in the next 2 minutes what we'll get. So stop loss, either above this, right? Because you're looking to improve your risk to reward, either above this SAR, but look at this would be like a 0.4 pip stop. So stop loss either there or above the previous high. So this would give you like a 10 pip stop or above there. So I think for me with this one, I'll do a 20 pip stop. But you know, if you want to be safe, do a 30 pip stop. But for me, I'll do this. I'll do a 0.5% risk for this trade. I need to wait for this 5-minute candle to close. Again, if you want to enter early, I don't like going earlier than or lower than a 5-minute. I'm pretty sure there was an entry on the 1 minute that's probably running, but that's all the way up here. So for me, I'm waiting on this 5 minutes. So let's see if we get this entry.
There were also a double reduction on a 30 minutes SR on EU.
On EU, okay.
Yeah, I took an entry based on that.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah.
But unless you took it down here, or maybe you waited for it here.
Let me check.
Right. I don't want this thing to keep dropping this way. I want it to slow down. Let's see, where is that EU? 50 seconds. Right, let's see. This is 20. If it keeps dipping this way, I'll go for 30. Ideally, because I don't want to be looking at this. Okay, so that's the trade right there. I will enter that trade. All right, give me a second. Already. So with a 0.5% risk, and I'm in that trade. So let's see how that goes. Okay, yeah, so that will be the only trade for right now. US 30 has gone down so far. So but you know, it's still going in the direction of my bias. So for me, for US 30, so you guys can see the 4-hour closure below double SARs, the 4-hour retest or continuation. So for me to come back and look for an entry on US 30, it will be in 2 hours and 45 minutes or 43 minutes. That's at 1 p.m. So that's when I'll come back and try to trade US 30. But since this is a 4-hour candle, if we close all the way down here, I might have to wait till like 11 p.m. Because if we close down here and it will be mid New York, price might start like literally what it did yesterday, right? So if I go to what happened yesterday, for this sell that I took up here, US 30, I was waiting for the sell, I think up here, I forget. Yeah, I was looking for the sell either up here or something. But during Asia session, that's when US 30 came back up, tapped my entry, my sell entry right here, or the sell that I'd marked up. I actually didn't take that trade. The sell that I'd marked up, and then it kept dropping. So that's probably what's going to happen today as well. But I do expect US 30 to keep dropping down. So right now I'm only in the EU trade for today, 0.5% risk. So it should ideally match up with this trade we have here. So this would be the same trade right here because it's the same entry area. But I'll just leave that. I'll just leave it on the 5-minute. Or was the entry? Let's see. Actually, it's where it's at right now. All right. Any last questions from anyone?
Yeah. Can you just explain again, please? Like for the 4 hours US 30, like you wait for the closure of this 4 hour candle.
Yes.
And after you wait for you're gonna put a pending order, or
No, no, no. So that's one way to do it. I don't recommend people to do that. Now here's the thing, right? So you're always waiting for 2 candles to close above or below, right? So whether the second candle retests or not, but that's what you're waiting for, right? Always waiting for 2 hours to I'm sorry, 2 candles to close above or below. Now, when you get that closure, so let's say US 30 closes, remember, for me, you're looking to have a nice like 1:2 risk to reward, right? So if US 30 closes down here, for you to have a risk to reward that respects your stop loss parameters, because keep in mind, let's assume the 4-hour candle closes here. Yes, it is a valid entry, but for you, you need to think about how big is your stop loss going to be. If you want to do your 30 pip stop here, yes, that's still possible, but what are the odds that you're going to get faked out because this because US 30 would need to come back and retest this zone. So keep in mind, this is a 4-hour candle that has literally 4 1-hour candles. So you're always thinking, if I'm entering a trade here, and for me, I know personally, at most, I want my stop loss to be 50 pips on US 30 and 100 pips TP. So if this 4-hour candle closes here, that will be my trade setup. Okay, not bad, valid trade. Yes, it can definitely keep shooting down in profit, but what's the probability that before US 30 keeps shooting down in profit, that it will come back and retest this again before dropping and manipulate me out of my position? For me, as the higher the time frame you go, the higher the probability of that happening, which is why I mentioned, if you're using the SAR for your daily bias, don't chase that sell or that buy when that SAR has been confirmed, because you can always have that retracement. So for me, on US 30, to be safe, since this is in this scenario, I would rather wait for price to get back up here, and then I'll drop down to the 5-minute and the 15-minute, and I'll wait for 2 candle closures. That's it, right? Because I've already gotten my confirmation because the trade is valid, but I'm trying to minimize my drawdown such that my stop loss, either way. So here's the thing, right? The other thing about the SAR strategy, what do we talk about when we talk about stop loss? Set stop loss below or above the parabolic SAR lines that you're trading. So here, if you're trading where is that? Here, if for me, I'm entering this sell based off of this double SAR cells on the 4-hour, I want my stop loss to be above there. So that's why you see me pushing my entry above there, because yes, it is a valid trade, but here, what rule would I be breaking? What trading rule of mine would I be breaking? My stop loss wouldn't be above this double SARs here that I'm trading. So this is why, for me, I would rather wait for it to come back up here. And if it does come back up here, ideally what it's doing, it's forming that Judas swing, right? Faking out or manipulating people out before then it starts reversing there. And that's how, like yesterday, like the sell entries for gold and US 30 just exactly came back to those areas we are selling, or I was selling from or looking to sell from, and rejected from there. So I guess the thing is, right, always ask yourself, how far is my entry? How far are the SARs that I'm trading from the entry that I'm making? So is that more than 30 pips? If so, then wait for a retracement. Now, the best case scenario for me would be this current 4-hour candle to close here, like somewhere here, like this. This would be my best case scenario, because in this instance, I don't have to wait for like a retracement or a 5-minute closure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, so
and also another question. So right now you are sending like the trades you send on the trade ideas. Is there these are the trades you take? You don't
oh
send
yeah, so if you see If you see me take them, or if you see me send them, I'll take them. So yesterday, the only trade that I did it because Mondays I have a different schedule than and that's why we don't have a live session on Mondays. But yeah, Mondays, and I've noticed like this yesterday and the previous Monday, we had amazing trades. But yeah, if you see me send a trade in trade idea, I will take it. Like if I'm in front of the screen or if I remember, like sometimes I'll send it out and then I go, and this is why I need to also start setting alerts. I'll go do my thing and then I come back, I see the trade is already in profit. But the difference is, those are different than official trades. So you see, like yesterday, the US 30, so if we go to the Discord, the US 30 trade, the US 30 trade hit full TP. The gold trade hit full TP as well. Where is the gold trade? Didn't I send that out? The gold trader also hit full TP. Yes, this one right here. No, this was US 30. I forgot to post the gold. Yeah, so the gold trade also hit full TP, but you can see I didn't update that on our spreadsheet because, right, I put an X. So for me, the only trades I count here are the trades I say I'm selling gold, I'm selling US 30 now. And also remember, I'm not going to send every trade that I take. But if you see me send a trade idea, know that if it validates, I will take that trade. But I just want to count the trades like the one we took today, the EU trade, right? Like if it hits TP, I'll count it. If it hits stop loss, I'll count, I'll count it either way. But if I send most trades in the trade ideas, like they are valid. No, they are valid trades if they validate, because most of the time you won't see me. Okay, you see, like for example, the difference, I'll show you like a quick difference. Right now, this trade is a valid trade and it's a trade I've sent out and I've said I'm taking. But if we go on the trade ideas area, you'll see here that I send before the trade validates. So for example, yesterday on gold, right here, excuse me, the EU, I said possible 1 hour Judas swing break and continuation, right? So which is to mean I was waiting for the continuation here, for the retest. So ideally, like what we just did with EU right now, I was waiting for EU to come back here. And then if price validates, because it was clearly, it was a valid sell, but I didn't want to enter EU here. So which is the same idea I'm giving right now for US 30. I didn't want to enter EU right here. I would rather have waited for it here, because if I enter EU here, it will allow me my stop loss to be above there. So same thing right here for you. This is gold. Yeah, the gold trade yesterday that I took also, right? This is 1 hour. This 1 hour closed below this double SAR. The next 1 hour continued down. So this is a valid trade, but instead of me taking the valid trade down here, that's not going to allow me to use the tight stop loss that I want. I would rather wait for that retracement above that sell zone and then I enter it. So normally the trade ideas I send out, you probably need to wait for like an hour or 4 hours. But the official trades, when I send out, it's like instant. I'll be like, I'm selling US 30, I'm selling gold, if that makes sense. All right. I think Desire dropped. All right, so that will be it. So the EU trade is the only one that's running right now. So yeah, all right. Let me put this back to what's already there. All right, other than that, I will talk to y'all tomorrow. All right, see you.